embarrassment continued this week on MSNBC. This network is a complete joke. Right now, the cable news industry is in a panic. Well, every network is in a panic except Fox News, who continues to completely dominate the industry. We are seeing massive layoffs at both CNN and MSNBC. It was announced yesterday MSNBC is letting go of 75 employees who mostly work behind the scenes. Unfortunately, no on-air personalities were included in the layoff. Millions of people were hoping Joy Reid would be included in this announcement, but she continues polluting the airwaves with her brutally toxic mouth farts and her assortment of cheap wigs. Both CNN and MSNBC, they are in the process of adjusting their daily lineups. Translation, ratings are tanking. Networks who are meeting expectations, they don't shift their daily lineup. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're not seeing Fox News move the 5 from late afternoon to prime time. The prime time lineup on Fox News, it's been consistent for years. You can't say the same for CNN and MSNBC. Hell, who's even on CNN in prime time right now? It's like their primetime lineup is this massive void filled by a rotating panel of shitfucks who consistently fail. Last year, MSNBC saw a 22% decline in the ratings. Now, this was during an election year. This was during a time when ratings are supposed to be going up. The question is, why? How is this happening? My guess is people are tired of being lied to. People are tired of being propagandized. I'm going to share with you 2 more examples today that proves MSNBC is nothing but polished propaganda. We're going to start with one of our favorites here on the channel. Oh, it's the wicked wig of the woke. The woman with a face that makes you wish you were blinded by mace. The Empress of Evil, the co-founder of mythical racism. The one, the lonely Joy Reid. There are very, very few people that we cover here on the channel that I legitimately can't stand. Most of the people we cover, they're clueless, they're confused, or they're just being paid to play a part. But there are a handful of them who are truly evil. Joy Reid at the top of the list. This woman is the definition of evil. Joy Reid scares the devil. Her entire platform is built on the myth of mythical racism. She uses racism for profit. The only reason she has the platform on MSNBC, the color of her skin. Joy Reid exploits her own community. If someone in the black community dares speak out against her, she attempts to silence them. Don't take my word for it. I'm about to give you the proof. Earlier this week, the Wicked Wig invited Congressman Byron Donalds on her show. Now you got to remember, this is the same woman who constantly complains about the lack of minority representation in our government. This is the same woman who blindly defends Kamala Harris, whose only purpose is to provide manufactured laughs at the woke comedy show. Besides the ability to laugh at a moment's notice, I can't think of one discernible skill Kamala Harris possesses. The only reason Joy Reid defends her is because she's a minority woman. With Joy Reid, everything has to do with race. With that being the case, you would think Joy Reid would be thrilled to welcome Byron Donalds on her show. Not only is he a black man in Congress, he's a black man who was elected in the state of Florida. The state people like Joy Reid claim is filled with mythical racists. Byron Donalds, he should be a sign of progress, right? Not quite. The Wicked Wig seized this opportunity to increase the rate of black-on-black crime. Her hour on MSNBC, usually filled with nothing but propaganda. But here she had a real problem. She had a black man on the show who wasn't feeding into the bullshit. He wasn't buying into the lie of mythical racism. He was actually speaking the truth. When shitfucks are hit with the truth, it triggers them into Tourette's-like convulsions. They begin shaking, they raise their voices, interrupting their opponent so their audience won't be exposed to factual information. Again, don't take my word for it. As you'll see in this clip, every time Byron Donalds opens his mouth, Joy Reid fills the air with her toxic fumes. Roll the film.
You were nominated for Speaker.
Yeah.
You've been in Congress one term.
Yes.
What were your qualifications to be Speaker of the House?
Well, look, I think my colleagues, they recognize my leadership, and they've seen it in many leaps and bounds.
Can you give specifics?
In one term. Secondarily, I've served before at the state level, now here at the federal level.
What were your specific qualifications to be Speaker?
I actually understand budgets. I understand what the long-term ramifications
what
are.
What is the job of the Speaker? Hold on a second. We have to have a conversation.
I'm trying.
You're
cutting me off.
Hold on. What is the job of Speaker? There are 4 African-American members in the House caucus, the Republican caucus. There are 56 members in the Democratic caucus. So it's more diverse. There are more African-American members that are House committee ranking members. They're at the same number that are actually members of the entire Republican House caucus. Right. So do you not believe that the idea was to make a diversity statement by nominating him?
Well, actually, first, that was not the idea. Because I was in the room when the decision was made by people who chose to nominate me. That never came.
And you've still not explained how you were qualified. You've never been in leadership.
Are you going to let me answer your question?
Sure, tell us.
Over me? Okay.
The level of condescension is absolutely unbelievable. Here we have a woman whose only qualification is properly identifying quality wigs, questioning whether Byron Donalds is qualified to be Speaker of the House. Did you see the last House Speaker? Do you remember Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi is an expert when it comes to plastic surgery. When it comes to running the government, she's fucking clueless. Speaking of clueless, how come Joy Reid doesn't have this same level of questioning when it comes to Kamala Harris? She wants to question the credentials of Byron Donalds. How come she doesn't question Kamala Harris? Someone please explain to me one useful skill Kamala Harris possesses when it comes to running the government. She is the most unqualified vice president in the history of this country. It's damn near impossible to be more unqualified, more incompetent than Joe Biden. Yet somehow, Kamala Harris makes Joe Biden appear to be brilliant. You know who else is unqualified for her job? Joy Reid. You know what she was doing before she accepted woke welfare from MSNBC? Joy Reid was a fucking blogger. She was working local radio in Miami, and she was the managing editor of some unknown site named The Griot. Joy Reid, she claims to be all about diversity. I want to see more of my people in leadership positions. As you saw in the clip, the same woman who preaches diversity claimed the only reason Byron Donalds was nominated for House Speaker was because of diversity. If you're a shitfuck, wouldn't that be a good thing? But you see, in the evil eyes of Joy Reid, it's not good. This is where the supposed fight against mythical racism completely falls apart. Byron Donalds, he represents the antithesis of everything that Joy Reid believes. He refuses to allow himself to be victimized based on the color of his skin. He refuses to fall into the false notion that this country holds him back because of the color of his skin. Joy Reid claims to be a fighter for the black community, but that is only if you fall in line with her propaganda. When someone like Byron Donalds comes on her program representing the opposite of her twisted view, she attempts to have them silenced. Later in the segment, Byron Donalds started educating Joy Reid on critical race theory, one of her favorite topics. But it was strange. Once the education began, once Joy Reid didn't have a rebuttal for his argument, they suddenly had to cut to commercial break. Watch it for yourself.
You've defended and actually have co-sponsored 2 pieces of legislation opposing critical race theory. What is critical race theory in your view?
Oh, critical race theory actually comes from critical theory. And essentially what it does at the graduate level, it talks about the implications of racial policies in the past in American history, their impact on society today.
The impact on law.
Hold on. The issue with critical race theory, if you distill it down into K-12 education, is you do not have the ability to have the detailed conversation of critical race theory at the graduate graduate level. And so here's my question. If it seeps down into K-12 education, is it stuff that students are not prepared to be dealing with? Shouldn't students just be learning about reading, writing, and arithmetic?
And so you don't believe that students should be learning about the racial history of the country? Because critical race theory is not taught. Hold on. Critical race theory is not taught in a single K through 12 school.
That's not true.
One moment. It's a legal theory that's taught in law schools. Okay, we're going to have to come back and continue this conversation. We're actually literally out of time. They're telling me you have to go.
Okay.
Critical race theory is not taught in our schools, and learning about racial history actually would be good for
It's your show.
you.
I'm going to give you the last word, but we're going to do this again.
We can come back.
That's
Byron
right.
Donalds.
That right there, that is what happens when a shitfuck gets hit with the truth. These people cannot debate their position because it's all based in lies. But Joy Reid, she was not the only host on MSNBC that completely humiliated herself this week. As you guys know, MSNBC is the network dedicated to diversity. They couldn't just have a black woman look like a complete dumbass. They had to balance the diversity scale and have an elderly white woman look foolish too. Andrea Mitchell. Andrea Mitchell. This woman's almost 80 years old. What is it with these people? Are they unfamiliar with retirement? Most people at 75, 80 years old, they're wanting to travel, play golf, play with Don's lemons on the beach. Not Andrea Mitchell. No. She craves the attention she receives from the handful of people that watch her. Andrea Mitchell, she does not come close to cracking the top 100 on cable television. She is the definition of irrelevant. Her ratings are down 15%. She doesn't make the top 10 on her own network. She draws less of an audience than Hallie Jackson, who MSNBC just moved to their streaming service no one watches because no one was watching her on cable. There's an old saying, with age comes wisdom. Andrea Mitchell, she's been living for a long time, so she decided to give her audience some of this wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, there is another term that has been banished from society. There is another law that has been added to the woke commandments. Andrea Mitchell, she wanted to inform her audience so they knew to stay in compliance. She didn't want one of her handful of viewers to be punished for violating the woke commandments. The punishment for this particular violation is freshening the air in Joy Reid's studio. Hazmat suits are required, along with dual Fauci masks to protect yourself from the toxic fumes that escapes that grotesque vocal orifice. Now, what is this newly banned term? Watch for yourself.
Well, she told reporters after the fact that at the end of the day, she was, as she described herself, pro-life, and that she felt that it was important to vote for these measures despite their potentially politically damaging or politically unappealing appearance, if you will, for
Garrett,
future voters.
Let me just interrupt and say that pro-life is a term that that an entire group wants to use, but that is not an accurate description.
I'm using it because that's the term she used to describe herself, Andrea.
I understand.
That's right. You are no longer allowed to describe yourself as pro-life. You're also not allowed to use pro-choice or pro-abortion. Matter of fact, the only time you're allowed to use the word pro is when you're classifying someone like Joy Reid as a professional race baiter or professional victim. Instead of pro-life, you are now required to use anti-abortion. However, you are not allowed to describe someone as an abortionist. According to the Associated Press, that term has negative connotations. It sounds like doctors who perform clandestine operations, when the truth is, these doctors confiscate these babies professionally. I wonder why cable news is struggling. I just don't understand why millions of people aren't attracted to this polished turd. There is no better relaxation after a hard day's work than coming home and smelling the fresh aroma of Joy Reid's negativity and evil. Fox News, they put beautiful blondes on TV. Who wants to look at that when I could be looking at Andrea Mitchell? I don't know about you guys, but I get excited watching elderly women with immovable faces. I know what could draw ratings for MSNBC. Put Andrea Mitchell and Nancy Pelosi in a face-off. The first face that manages to move wins. But give me your thoughts. Joy Reid, completely owned by Byron Donalds. Andrea Mitchell lectures her colleague after he uses the term pro-life. Does anyone actually watch this garbage on television? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.